station of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Florida.
Beautiful day in Philly, Citizens Bank Park. Marlins and Phillies finishing off a weekend series for the Fish. Not a lot of runs and no wins yet. Tom Kohler gets the baseball. David Buchanan going for the Phils. Miami looking for runs, looking for a win, and headed to New York. The Fanatic is in full flight, ready to go. Got the top down on the Fanatic mobile. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. For the Marlins, obviously, the loss of Giancarlo Stanton was really tough to take on Thursday. The result, though, on Friday and then last night, Marlins aren't scoring runs right now.
And I think we've talked about it, Rich. In order to score runs without the big guy in the lineup, everything has to just work perfectly, and you can't make those little mistakes, and some things just haven't gone the Marlins' way as well.
And in two very tight games, there were a couple of plays in particular that could have gone either way. The Phillies executed, the Marlins didn't.
Yeah, you really can't fault the Marlins for what they did. You have to credit the Phillies for the way they came up with the plays. Cody Ashley with a terrific throw over the head of Casey McGee to Ruiz to put the tag on Casey. That's just a perfectly executed play. Now in the ballgame last night, keep in mind on this base hit, Marlon Byrd goes a little bit to his left. That's tougher for a right-hander to come up and make that throw. He does, and Will Nieves, he kind of carries the glove, gets it right on Justin Bour for the tag. So a couple of good plays there. There also been a couple situations, Rich, where the Marlins have failed to drop down a sacrifice bunt. That has hurt in key situations, too.
And what makes it sting is the Marlins are getting good starting pitching and pretty good bullpen in this series as well. Tom Kohler gets the ball. He's had a really nice season, Hut, and if he can finish strong in these next 2 weeks, he'll look back at this season maybe as a breakthrough one.
You'd love to see Tom Kohler get to 10 wins. He goes after number 10 today. This will be his 30th start. He, against the National League East, has an ERA at 2.45. Now, that's the good news. The bad news, he's 2-4. He just hasn't gotten much support against the East.
Marlins are looking for runs. Kohler is looking for support. And boy, do we have something for the finale in Philly. Marcell Ozuna with the lineups as the Fish and the Phils get ready to go. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK AT&T, mobilizing your world. By Checkers. Checkers brings big flavor for a small price. Feed your craving for quality for only $1. And by your South Florida Honda dealers and sfhondadealers.com. In Philly, Marlins, Phils, Marcell Ozuna, our starting lineups for the Miami Marlins. And Marcell said, give them to me. Here he is.
Hi, I'm Marcell Ozuna for the Miami Marlins. This is today's lineup for the Marlins. Christian Yelich, left field. Rick Johnson, right field. Casey McGee, third baseman. Marcell, the Big Bell Ozuna, center field. Garrett Young, first baseman. Gerald Saltalamacchia, catcher. Quique Hernandez, second baseman. Adeiny El Perro Uf, shortstop. Tom Kohler, pitcher.
You know, one take, that's all it took. Very nice. And we always appreciate Marcell Ozuna ever since he got to the big leagues last year. Not afraid to come on and do his interviews in English. He's gotten better at it. He's practiced it. And our lineups, he didn't do the Phillies. He just did the Marlins lineup. But maybe we'll have him do the outfield once we get to New York. All right, for the Phils, Tommy Hutton, what do you got on David Buchanan?
Well, there is a good look at the 25-year-old right-hander. Started the year in AAA, Lehigh Valley. He was 6-2, had a good record down there. And since joining the Phillies in his 17 starts, he's gone 6-7. There have been some, I hate to throw this out there, but there have been some comparisons to David Buchanan and Kyle Kendrick, who's had the great success as he did in the ball game last night and in his career against the Marlins. Here's a look at the scouting report. That two-seamer with sink. He has a decent slider, and there are those Kendrick comparisons. He was a 7th-round pick back in 2010 out of Georgia State.
He's the first Georgia State baseball player to get to the big leagues. Pinch a Penny brings you the first pitch. Miami looks for runs and a win, and a strike from Buchanan to open the ball game. Reed Johnson is in right field. He's in the 2 spot. Casey McGee playing third, hits third. And Marcell Ozuna in the cleanup spot. And Yelich out in front. For Christian Yelich, a base hit last night, snapped an 0 for 11. He's 1 for 8 in the series. Buchanan misses down. Carlos Ruiz back behind the plate working with Buchanan. Sean Barber's calling balls and strikes. Young umpire Marty Foster, Joe West, and Alan Porter out on the bases. 1-2 away, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's that good two-seamer. So far, Christian Yelich has seen the two-seamer. He saw a good changeup earlier in the count.
Yelich fouls it off. The one I think odd thing to see in his 1 for 8 is he's struck out 4 times. Yelich is usually a good contact guy, but I mean, you face Cole Hamels like the Marlins did in game 1, and then Kendrick was back to his old tricks last night. Yelich fouls it at the plate.
I've said it a few times, and I really do think that as Christian's career moves forward, he'll cut down on the strikeouts. Overall, he struck out 130 times this year.
Pitch is out.
And here we are. Another 3-2 count for Christian Yelich.
Fox Tracks shows that one out. Yelich fouls it back. The Marlins coupling their 2 losses in Milwaukee with the 2 losses here. For the Fish, they've been costly in the standings. The Mets have caught them. The Mets and the Marlins even right now. Yelich walks. And Miami's got their leadoff man aboard. The Fish 6.5 back in the wild card, along with the Mets. The Braves are now 3 back, and Milwaukee a 1.5 games back. Pittsburgh occupying the 2nd spot. San Francisco the #1 wild card spot. Reed Johnson getting a start. He's in right field. Last night the Marlins had Garrett Jones in right and Justin Bour at first. And Johnson takes a strike.
So I think it's safe to say Reed Johnson goes after and begins his quest for his second 1,000 base hits. Picked up his 1,000th career base hit last night with a pinch hit single.
Yeah, that was kind of lost in the play at the plate, wasn't it? He hit the ball that Bird made the terrific play and throw to get Justin Bour at the plate. High chopper, and it's foul. And the count's 0-2.
So in this 3-game series, Mike Redmond has had Ed Lucas, Garrett Jones, and now Reed Johnson in right field.
And I think that'll probably be the pattern from here on out as the Marlins try to fill that large void out there in right field. 0-2. Breaking ball. Johnson pulls it to third. Franco, and that's it. Utley coming across the bag. Figured rather than turn it and get clobbered, he just ate it.
Yeah, let's check on that defense for the Phillies this afternoon. There's Dominic Brown, Ben Revere. First sighting of Grady Sizemore in this series. Maikel Franco at third base. Freddie Galvis, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard around the infield, and Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
Here's McGee now. Johnson replaces YELICH at first. McGee has a couple hits in the series. And Buchanan misses away. Two-0 pitch. It's down low, and McGee has put himself in a 3-0 count. Marlins have Marcell OZUNA and Garrett Jones waiting in the wings, trying to get on the board and get on the board early. A 2-1 loss last night. Garrett Jones home run, the only run, and a 3-1 extra inning loss on Friday night.
If you go back the last 5 games, the last 4 games, in the 4-game losing streak, the Marlins have scored just 5 runs.
And in this series in particular, the 2 games, 2 runs on just 17 hits, and only 2 of the 17 hits extra base hits. McGee, a hard ground ball. Franco bobbles, gets the out. Again, Utley has to hold on, and McGee is at first. There's 2 outs. We saw Franco over at first base.
Yeah, a little unsteadiness on his part, actually, on that ground ball that Reed Johnson hit. The throw wasn't a good one. That's another reason Chase Utley had to just get the force out. So the bobble there, Utley becomes a first baseman and stretches out just to make sure he gets 1 out.
You heard Marcell OZUNA doing the Miami lineup, called himself the Big Bear. Soft pop, Utley over, and he can't get it. Ryan Howard doesn't move real well, and he was merely a spectator in that one. And Utley, especially with the right-handed hitting, OZUNA was way over the middle.
Yeah, and Utley's certainly aware of that. He knows that that's not going to be a ball that Howard will get, so he has to go all out, and all out just wasn't quite enough. But a good effort, as always, from Chase Utley.
We said it early in the series. It's fun to see Utley healthy again, able to run, able to move. He played in pain for a couple of seasons, working through a variety of lower body injuries. You can see the Kendrick comparisons here with Buchanan. Not a guy that comes right after you.
Yeah, as you look at his breaking ball, it has a little different shape to it. But the change up, the two seamers, there's a change up.
He's 1-2 right now. He's had a really nice second half. Big Bear rips one into left field. Marcell OZUNA with a 2-out hit. And here comes Garrett Jones.
When he just continues that streak, OZUNA now 10 consecutive games. He has at least one base hit. You go back to the middle of August 16th, he's hit over 340 since that time.
He's one of the guys, Tommy, when the season ends and people take a look back at the stats, they will say, wait a minute, Marcell OZUNA was 5th or 6th in RBIs in the National League?
Yeah, 23 home runs, 85 RBIs, and patrolling center field for most of the season.
Jones, little pop-up back behind third. Franco is there, and he makes the catch. And Miami leaves a couple here in the first. Fisheye look in Philly from behind home plate. Pretty cool, especially in HD. All right, here they are, the Phillies, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by JM Lexus. Ben Revere in center. Mikhail Franco is at third base. Chase Utley at second. Utley all-time against the Marlins. Lots of big numbers. He's atop the double list. Ryan Howard, there's a Grady Sizemore sighting, and he's in right field for the Phillies. Dominic Brown's in left. Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. Freddie Galvis at shortstop. Still no Jimmy Rollins. And David Buchanan hits ninth. Tom Kohler, the start for Miami.
We talked about the solid year that Tom Kohler has had. Opposing batters, just 242. He's making his 30th start. He's been healthy, and he's pitched a lot of games that could have gone the other way for him. And you'd love to see him pick up win number 10 here today.
Tom Kohler throws a strike. Revere lashes one foul. Revere's a guy, too, that at the end of the year, I think many people will look back and say, wow, Ben Revere, top 5 in hitting in the National League. And look at all the stolen bases. He's got 43. He's third in the National League in stolen bases. He's 5th in hitting at 308. Josh Harrison and Justin Morneau are at the top. 317 is Harrison.
Boy, the guy who's really come on in that batting average category has been Buster Posey of the Giants.
One, two. High chopper, better hurry, tough play. No way to get him. That's a base hit. I'm not sure Echeverria gets him even if he makes the perfect play.
I think the only chance he has is if he barehands this ball, but it kind of took a funny hop and skipped to his left, to his glove side right there. I think in his mind he may have been thinking about a barehand. The ball hopped and skipped to that glove side, and it should be a base hit, and it is.
It's a hit, and for Revere, 168 hits. He's third in the National League. And of course, a base stealing threat. Franco now. Kohler trying to keep Revere close. Now the Marlins' little skid here, certainly in the wild card, the teams they were chasing has hurt. They're back to 6.5 back, but also the teams that were behind them. The Mets have caught the Marlins, and the Phillies are creeping closer, which is alarming. The Phillies are 2.5 games behind Miami. Boy, Atlanta is 9.5 out now in the East. And Washington Nationals probably will have clinched by the time the Marlins see them. Their magic number is 6.
Wow. They really put some separation between them and everybody else.
It's like Los Angeles in the American League West. They've won 10 in a row, and the Angels have an 11-game lead over Oakland.
You know, even Atlanta in the wild card is 3 games back now.
Kohler misses. And it's a ball and a strike. Kohler's been really solid his last 3 starts. That didn't miss by much. His last start, a no decision in Milwaukee, 2 runs in 5 innings. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Saltalamacchia's throw. And Hernandez with a sweet tag. Looks to the dugout to tell him he did tag him. Whether Revere got to the bag before he tagged him or not, Marlins will look at it.
And if he is successful, it's stolen base number 44. Boy, if he clipped him on the leg, he may have gotten him before his hand got there. That's a tough one to see from that angle. Kike Hernandez playing at second base for the Marlins today. Good play on his part to short hop the ball and then just sweep back.
That's actually almost too tight of a shot. Boy, it's hard to tell if he tags him or not. I think if they can find a shot where he's tagged him, then you can discern, all right, where's the hand by the time they tag him. That's a really tough one.
So in the meantime, Mike Redmond just having a nice cordial conversation with Joe West.
If he tags him, he's out.
If he got him there, he was out. But it's hard to tell if he tagged him there.
Wow. You know what? Boy, the batting glove in his pocket. Watch the batting glove in his left pocket. I don't know if that's from the tag or for him landing on the slide. Obviously, there's not enough evidence to overturn. Marlins don't challenge. It's a foul ball. And the ball girl very smartly got the heck out of there. Cliff Lee getting that foul ball. Nicely done. It's one of the things maybe it's just me, but it seems that in Philly, more so than any ballpark, The Philadelphia fans wear jerseys with the names of players
from all decades.
From all decades. You walk out. I walked out to Tony Luke's about an hour before first pitch.
Didn't you, though?
I did. And I saw names from the last 40 years in Phillies history on jerseys and T-shirts. Look at that, Schmidt.
There's a couple of examples right there. Halladay and Schmidt.
And I mean, I've never done the math. It's like a Tug McGraw right there.
Tug McGraw. I saw Victorino the other day.
Yeah, I think Philly has to be in the top 5 at least around baseball for that. Pop up, Jones and Saltalamacchia. And it's Saltalamacchia that makes the catch.
Let's check on the defense on this sunny afternoon here at Citizens Bank Ballpark. Yelich, Ozuna, and Reed Johnson filling out the outfield. McGee and Echeverria. We mentioned Kike Hernandez at second base, Garrett Jones the first baseman, and Jared Saltalamacchia behind the plate.
There's your Victorino.
Yeah, there's another one.
I have not seen a Hutton out there, though. Not yet.
Yeah, we're still looking.
I wonder if we could find a Cookie Rojas.
I think we have. I think we've seen a Rojas in the past.
Unless it was Mel Rojas. I don't know that he pitched here. Or maybe a broadcast fan. It was Victor Rojas.
And certainly there are a lot of Utleys out there.
Revere still at second. And Kohler works on Utley. And gets a strike. Utley couple hits in this series. Solid year against the Fish.
One of the things Tom Kohler has done really well this year, but also in his young career, he holds left-handers to a lesser batting average than right-handers. In his career, lefties hitting .234.
There's a lot of statistics, obviously, in baseball. One is a fun one, and that's line drive rate. How many line drives does a pitcher give up? Kohler has the lowest line drive rate of all major league starters, which I guess you interpret it as if guys aren't barreling him up or hitting him as hard as others when they put the ball in play.
So much of it this year, and there is what he's done this year. Lefties .232. A lot of that, a more consistent curveball, a more consistent slider, being able to spot his two-seamer much better.
That stat courtesy of Fangraphs, which is if you're into stats in baseball, it's a very cool site.
I think they had a stat there from Fangraphs. Most Tony Luke's cheesesteaks consumed by broadcasters this year.
Yes. No swing.
In order for that to be a swing, it has to hit you.
That's a very good line. That is a very good. That was one. Obviously, the Marlins are devastated with the Stanton injury, but that just added insult to it and stirred up even more anger that both of those balls were called swinging strikes. Utley pulls one. Jones has it, flips, and Kohler is there. Nice play by Garrett Jones, saving a run. And here comes Ryan Howard.
Well, Garrett Jones had to go out to roam right field last night, and here he is this afternoon at first, making a nice play.
Jones looked good out right field last night. He had that one ball that was up on the top of the wall, and he went up and nearly got it.
I'll tell you what, I would imagine if we talk to him, and he'll probably tell us this, I think he feels more comfortable in right field than at first base. but he's played more first base on a consistent basis this year.
Here's Howard. And Kohler misses away. Ryan Howard's year, he has the 21 homers. Productive in terms of RBIs, 92. Slugging percentage down at 376. Not what you're hoping for when you're shelling out $25 million. Big article today in the Sunday Philadelphia Inquirer, wondering if the future first baseman for the Phillies in the next few years is not Chase Utley. That's easy to say. The hard part will be finding someone to take Ryan Howard's contract, which runs through 16.
And whoever that someone would be, you got to feel it would be an American League team where he could DH a little bit. And you also have to figure that the Phillies are going to have to come up with a lot of the salary.
Howard, left center field, deep. Yelich with room. Wind is blowing in today in Philly, and that helped keep that one in the yard. Scoreless. At Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Brotherly love all weekend. It's brought to you by H.H. Gray. David Buchanan back on the mound. Jared Saltalamacchia, Kike Hernandez, and Adeiny Echeverria. And Saltalamacchia takes down low. Buchanan worked cautiously to the Marlins in the first. He walked Yelich. A couple fielders' choices. And a single to Ozuna. Garrett Jones popped out to end the inning. And Saltalamacchia lifts this one back down the left field line. And it lands foul. Narrowly missing extra bases.
Yeah, had that ball stayed fair, it would have been 2 bases, a double for Saltalamacchia, who has had a tough trip. Just 1 for 17 on this trip. Yeah, left fielder Dominic Brown playing over into the gap. There was no way he was going to get there.
Into left field. That's a base hit. Well, it's fun whenever a hitter crosses up the shift like that. You've got 3 infielders on the right side, and Franco just kind of playing a semi-shortstop.
Which brings up a good point. This is a terrific swing. Great job by Salty. But the point that it brings up as teams approach spring training in the next few years, and with shifts becoming more prominent, will more hitters that get shifted on, will more hitters work on things in the spring to beat the shift?
Tom Verducci wrote it, I think 2 months ago, an article about the shift and how it's helped drive down offense, or theoretically has done that. Kike Hernandez is up, and in it he pointed out the difficulty of hitters, maybe a guy like Saltalamacchia or Jones or Ryan Howard, guys that are big pull hitters, and are they able to adjust? Hernandez pop up, Howard over near the cameras, and it's out of play.
You saw those numbers for Kike Hernandez, a bulk of those with the Houston Astros. 24 games with Houston. Looking for his first hit, only 7 at bats as a Marlin, 0 for 7.
"24 games with the Astros. He did homer, had 4 doubles. Another pop up.
Kike makes his home in Puerto Rico. He's going to be playing winter ball in Puerto Rico for Joe Espada.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah. Joe is one of our favorite guys.
We get some good insight from Joe on Kike.
Marlins saw him as an Astro, and they saw him at center field and second base. Pulls a ground ball. A lot of business for Franco. Utley turns this one. They called him out, and that one I think will get reviewed.
Yeah, Perry Hill is always the guy you go to on those close plays. He was kind of looking into the dugout to say, hey fellas, this one might take another look, and it looks like he is safe. Oh yeah, see it by a lot, by a lot. This by the time, this is one of those, by the time they get the headsets on, they should have the answer. We haven't seen a lot of those this year, but this should be one of those. Guys in New York have seen this 3 or 4 times already.
See, I think they should just leave everybody. I mean, don't even get on the headphones. Everybody stay on the diamond and just turn up to the big screen. And the umpire in New York can stick his head on camera and say, "You're out."
And then you know who the umpire is.
Yeah, you're safe.
So they would need to have a camera,
right,
in the command center, New York. Yeah, there it is. Quick call. Yeah, I like that idea. That gives you a couple things. Gives you a little feeling of who's there, number one. And I think the fans would go for that.
Yeah, and then, you know, if the fans don't like it, they can yell at the scoreboard. Or if the manager doesn't like it, he can yell at the scoreboard.
What would he say if there wasn't enough evidence to overturn a call?
Call Stan. Sorry. The Marlins have had 3 fielders' choices to Franco at third base, which tells you how Buchanan's been getting outs lately. And Chavarria takes in 3 earned runs or less in his last 13 starts. And a 3.21 ERA. He's won 5 games for a team that's struggled this year. 6 games overall.
Marlins saw him earlier in the year, back in June, ball game here in Philadelphia. Gave up 6 hits and a couple of runs in 5 innings.
It's the one game that Buchanan faced the Fish. I believe that was an Andrew Heaney start. Which also reminds me, we've been waiting to see Andrew Heaney throw. The Marlins just haven't had an opportunity. I think they're waiting for a game where they need a long man.
Well, the starters have done such a good job lately, or maybe a doubleheader.
That's a good point.
Doubleheader in Washington, D.C. last weekend of the season.
Echeverria in the air to center. Revere is there. Well, the Marlins head to New York, and then they're home against the Washington Nationals, who might just be the National League Eastern champions by then. On Thursday night, 7:10, if you visit your local Subway restaurant, get a voucher for a $5 ticket. Seniors 55 and older can receive free tickets on Senior Free Ticket Thursdays, presented by Wellmax Medical Center. Go to Marlins.com today. Here's Kohler now, 3 hits and 46 ABs. He chops one to third. Franco again across the diamond in time, and Miami done in the second. Glorious day here in Philly. Phillies and Marlins are scoreless. Philly cotton candy, bottom second. AT&T fan photo. If you got a fan photo, tweet it and hashtag it FL fan photo. And you can see that the writing down below. We have the right to distribute. We got to read that one of these times, Hut. There might be something in there interesting. No purchase necessary.
I'll have to get my binoculars to read that one.
Family members are not eligible to win. Looks like we can use it in perpetuity. That's the last line. You got to have a valid, active Twitter account.
I have that.
I don't know if we have the right to disseminate it or distribute it, but let's call the commissioner. We'll find out. Grady Sizemore, Dominic Brown, and Carlos Ruiz. And for Sizemore, the long road back to the big leagues with all the different surgeries and ailments, he finds himself a Philly. Just trying to stay healthy, trying to get back into it. At one time, one of the best players in baseball.
Look at that. Drafted, we have to explain to some of our young viewers, by the Expos.
Who the Expos are? Is that?
Yeah, the Montreal Expos at one time were a major league team.
Well, of course, he was involved in that big trade that sent a boatload of talent from the Expos.
Cliff Lee.
down to the Cleveland Indians. Brandon Phillips, right? Along with Sizemore and Cliff Lee for Bartolo Colon.
But you're right about Sizemore. He was one of those guys that for about a 4 or 5 year period was just putting up tremendous numbers as far as stolen bases, triples, home runs, batting average.
He is 32 out of Everett, Washington. Grady Sizemore hits one to right center. Ozuna's got it lined up, and he makes the catch. He plays center field with a flair, doesn't he?
He sure does. He's been a real treat to watch all year. Kind of drifts over. Bright day. He probably doesn't have direct sunshine, so he doesn't have the glasses. Making the call and the catch.
Breaking ball strike to Dominic Brown. In watching Ozuna, one of the things that prevented him from having direct sunlight, a smart outfielder, he kept his head turned. And again, he's in there and grabs it. Brown is out number 2. 2 fly ball outs for Kohler. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Here's Ruiz. Fastball up.
This was after the last catch. Talking to Reed Johnson.
Yeah, see?
You know what's great about that? He's 23 and Reed's, what, 37? You got the rookie, okay, veteran. Got the son up there. I know you know what I'm talking about, but.
Because if on those balls to his left, Ozuna sprints to the spot and squares up, he's looking into the sun. But if he keeps his head turned at an angle, he's okay. That one is hit left center field. Yelich after this. And Yelich reaches and he got it. Christian Yelich at the last minute reaches out, makes the catch, slides on the track. Little bump from Marcell Ozuna. That's a heck of a play by the 22-year-old left fielder. Send Giancarlo get well wishes.
Yeah, see, there is some love in the city of brotherly love.
If you'd like to as well, hashtag it. Get well Giancarlo. That one's in the center field. Yelich has got a leadoff hit. And the Marlins are underway in the third.
A great looking sign from some Philly fans.
If you want to send it Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, just hashtag it. Get well Giancarlo. View the posts at marlins.com/getwellgiancarlo.
By the way, that catch that Christian Yelich made is one that I'm sure pleased, if he's watching, Preston Wilson. Preston Wilson talks a lot about outfielders who unnecessarily leave their feet to get the balls. Yelich didn't leave his feet until after he made that catch. At those long, lanky strides, he was able to reach out, make the grab. Then he got down just to kind of soften his landing.
The last time Preston Wilson was in this ballpark, he ate everything. Remember? Preston, who does such a nice job, and believe me, having worked in a variety of sports from football to basketball to baseball, for an ex-player to jump in and hit the ground running like Preston has, like Cliff Floyd did, like Jeff Conine has, not easy. Runner goes, hit and run. It's popped up. Yelich has to reverse course and get back in time. And Reed Johnson will kick himself a little bit.
Well, that's a tough pitch. And Mike Redmond trying to get something going. We talked about when you have trouble scoring, you have to put the game in motion a little bit. But the pitch is in, way inside. A tough pitch on a hit and run. Fortunately, Yelich able to put the brakes on. He picked the ball up. He picked the ball up right away. Buchanan got over there, but there was no play. Yeah, we're slowly breaking in Carl Pavano, too.
Pavy's getting there, too.
Yeah.
But we have Preston Wilson here, and he went to Tony Luke's. He went out to
those fries,
Federal Donuts,
Chicky and Pete's.
This is one of the great food ballparks.
This might be top 3 for sure.
Yes, in the National League, we don't get to all the American League parks very often. But in the National League, I would put this in the top 3. A lot of standing area spots out there where you can put your food up on a rail and watch. McGee swings and misses, counts 1-1.
There's that railing, folks out there enjoying. We've seen from Buchanan, he's not afraid. He's done it 2 or 3 times to throw that changeup to right-handed hitters.
See what McGee gets. 1-1. Yelich. 19 stolen bases. Jacob deGrom, National League Rookie of the Year favorite right now.
Over Billy Hamilton?
That's what I'm reading.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing. The Rookie of the Year, the debate for MVP, Cy Young, Kershaw, Stanton. Many say that, the pitchers have their own award, and starting pitchers. We've even heard from significant starting pitchers of years past, John Smoltz or Ron Darling, saying they're not into pitchers as MVPs. But Rookie of the Year is different.
Because there's only one Rookie of the Year award.
That's right.
There's not a Rookie Pitcher of the Year and a Rookie Player of the Year.
Two to McGee. Little ground ball in the hole. Galvis has it. McGee's going to pick up a hit. And Miami now first and second with Ozuna coming up.
Well, ball got in on Casey a little bit, but he was able to get it past Franco, the third baseman. 165 hits for Casey McGee, keeps him in the top 5 in the National League. So Franco can't get there. And once the shortstop Freddie Galvis does, he has no play. This is the odd number about Casey McGee. He's hit a little over 310 against right-handed pitching this year.
Including hits and outs unofficially. With 1 out in the third. I've got 7 balls to the left side of the infield already. Remember, Ozuna punched a hit to left. Saltalamacchia grounded 1 to left. And McGee just hit 1 in the hole. How'd I do? Did you add them up?
7. Yeah, yeah. The base hit of YELICH was up the middle, so that kind of split the difference.
End of the bat. It trickles out to Utley, who's going to flip underhand and get the out at first. There are 2 outs, but Miami at second and third. Here comes Garrett Jones. Watch party on Tuesday. That's at Duffy Sports Grill in Coconut Grove. The Energy Team, Tommy, they'll be there. You can meet Billy. Take advantage of great food and drink special at Duffy Sports Grill in the Grove. For more information, go to Marlins.com. These watch parties have grown much more lively now that Billy has turned 21.
Yeah, and I think the Energy Team will be sending us emails and tweets too Tuesday night. Last time up, Garrett Jones was out in front of a good changeup and popped it up. He's done pretty well against the Phillies, though. You go back the last 20 games against Philadelphia, Garrett Jones right around 300 with 4 home runs. Of course, hit a home run in the ballgame last night in the 2nd inning.
Jones takes a strike. Well, they play him to pull and they pitch him to pull. Look at those 2 pitches. The strike right at the knees and on the inside part.
With his swing the way it's been the last week, he's got a much better chance to beat the shift. He's driven a lot of balls well the other way.
Yelich and McGee in scoring position. Jones takes out. And we'll see if for Buchanan that was a show me and then come back in on the hands pitch. It's already at 48 pitches with 2 outs in the third. Jones reaches out, little pop up, shallow left, and it's caught by Brown on the run. And the Marlins strand 2 more. We're not helping ourselves out. We have to find a way to score more than just one run. 1 run in 3 of the last 4 games. As we noted, the Marlins have been able to get good starting pitching. Brad Hand last night, 6 innings, 2 runs. Marlins had to be very pleased with that. Henderson Alvarez on Friday, 7 innings, just 1 run.
And this place here has always been a tough place for the Marlins to play. You go back their last 37 games. Here in Philadelphia, the Marlins are 10-27.
Three times this year, the Marlins have seen the Phillies walk off with home runs. Cody Ashley the other night, Jimmy Rollins earlier in the year, Chase Utley. That, for a bunter, that's always frustrating. You time it to run up and drop the bunt, and a guy flips up a 70-mile-an-hour changeup, and it throws the whole timing off. Galvis gets a rare hit to right. He's hitting 122 coming into the at-bat.
Now, of course, Buchanan will be trying to drop down a sacrifice bunt. That's one of the bigger neck chains we've seen this year.
Is it a chain or is it one of those?
Yeah, I don't think it's an actual chain. Well, it's a couple things. Kind of like cords.
It's endorsed by Major League Baseball, though, Hut. Look, right? Isn't that an MLB logo on it? Oh, goodness. Fastball up and in. And I don't think the hitter touched it. I think it just came up and in, went off Saltalamacchia's glove and went to the backstop because Galvis ends up at second base. And now he'll try to bunt him to third.
Boy, you're in that position. He almost does the limbo to get out of the way. And the catcher, in this case Salty, he's kind of blocked out. And again up and in. So Tom Kohler trying to throw a high strike. He's missed badly with his last 2.
They are calling that last, not that last pitch, but the one that got to the screen, a passed ball.
I don't think that's the right call. First of all, it was so high and inside, you're the catcher, you can't even see that pitch.
Here's the pitch. I would expect they're going to look at it again and usually change it.
That ball really sailed, too.
Well, it counts 2-2. He's down to his last strike. And he strikes out. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. Ben Revere's having a big year for the Phillies. He's 5th in the league in hitting. Hope you caught him last night. We asked him about Giancarlo Stanton and his great season.
No, he's Superman for a reason. I heard that they said his return is questionable now, so I'm just like,
can you believe that?
Can you believe that? So no, he's one heck of a player. He's definitely my MVP this year.
All right, how about that Superman from the other team as well? And General Manager Dan Jennings is telling us today that, boy, G is determined to return this season and is improving so well, doctors may leave it up to Stanton. as that goes, though, over the last couple of weeks. But as for Revere, what a year. He's third in the league in hits and stolen bases and set career highs with his 44 steals and nearly 170 hits now. Guys?
Yeah, he is having a terrific season. Galvis the runner at second. And Revere pops it foul.
I'll tell you the other number that you have to be careful of. Revere had an infield base hit in the first inning. He's 6 for 10 now off Tom Kohler.
Couple home runs, his first 2 in the big leagues. Lexington, Kentucky. Chopper over the middle. Kike Hernandez makes the play. Whip it. Let's whip it good. The whip around. Weeknights, 10 Eastern. Major League Baseball whip around. Get you in the parks. Every big hit, every walk-off, every big strikeout. Fox Sports 1, weeknights, 10 Eastern on MLB whip around.
Rich, you can really whip it.
Whip it good. Franco now, who's at third base. He takes out Galvis 90 feet away. Phillies have had an opportunity in the first and an opportunity in the third. The Marlins likewise, first and third. Miami had 2 runners on in each inning. Look out, broken bat. Echeverria can't get it. Into center field. Big turn. Franco going to second, and he is out. Hernandez with the tag. And the Phillies are on the board. Raquel Franco with an RBI single. Nice play by Ozuna and Hernandez, but it's 1-0 Phillies. A lot of moving parts to that last play. And here's a look from up top.
Echeverria shading a bit to the hole, didn't get that one.
Yeah, it's funny when a guy hits a ball and it's a broken bat, it has some funny spin. You can see a hop that took over the glove of Echeverria. But a heads-up throw and a heads-up play by OZUNA. Obviously, Maikel Franco has not read the reviews on OZUNA's arm in center field. That's his 9th assist this year.
So David Buchanan has a run. The Marlins, 3 innings in, have left a pair of runners in both the first and the third, and a single runner in the second. So they've stranded 5 already. Pitch is in. And it's not like the Phillies are scoring a lot of runs either. The Phillies just 2 runs last night and 3 on Friday. So to LaMacchia, and you saw his first at bat, he hit it away from the shift for a hit. That one ends up in the glove of Galvis. 3-game series, number of runs in this ballpark between the Marlins and the Phillies, 18. This series, there are just 8. And that's counting today.
That's pretty amazing because we're so used to coming in here and seeing a lot of runs scored.
Kike Hernandez. Hernandez not only made his major league debut this year, he had a really solid time in AAA. 98 total games in the minor leagues. And he hit .319.
And a guy in the situation that Kike Hernandez is.
To right, hits it pretty well. Sizemore back, looks up, and it's gone. His second major league homer ties the game. Kike Hernandez getting the start and getting his first hit as a Marlin. An opposite field home run.
And just like that, the Marlins tie it. Boy, he's showing some opposite field power. I was just going to say, a situation such that Kike is in, it's going to do him great to play winter ball, to get an opportunity, get some reps, play every day, because he hasn't had that opportunity ever since he came over here in the trade.
That's got to feel good. I mean, this is still a new organization to him, coming over in the trade with Jared Cozart.
Got a fastball up and took it about 8 or 10 rows back.
Echeverria bounces it to short. Galvis gets the out. So 2 outs here in the 4th.
More ground balls to the left side. 2 of them in this inning.
And that's been the MO for David Buchanan. And of course, Hernandez driving the ball to right and driving it out of here. He had 1 homer as an Astro and now a homer as a Marlin.
Kike Hernandez can be one of those very valuable guys because he can play the infield spots. We saw him in Houston play center field. So if he can play center field, you know he can go out there for a little bit in left or right. Sure, we'll see a lot of him in spring training.
And I think a guy that profiles nicely in the National League and probably a little more valuable in the National League. Utley is calling and Utley is catching. Miami draws even. Kike Hernandez, an opposite field shot. And it's 1-1 in Philly.
Park, the Phillies and the Marlins, game 3 of this series. The home is now state-of-the-art. We're in the Hall of Fame club here for the Phillies. But before this, they played at a place called the Vet. Veterans Stadium was the home for the Phils for 32 years. Cookie cutter like Cincinnati's Riverfront and Pittsburgh's Three Rivers. Had over 56,000 seats for baseball and over 65,000 seats for the NFL Eagles. A lot of memorabilia here, including the artificial turf at Veterans Stadium. The Phillies won the 1980 World Series right here, beating the Kansas City Royals. And one other little-known fact at the Vet, Mike Douglas, the entertainer, sang the national anthem at the very first game. He had a very popular national television show. Little-known fact, Tommy Hutton was on that show. Right?
Hutton on the Mike Douglas show.
Yeah, it was one off season. It was in the off season.
Now wait a minute. The dating game, the Mike Douglas show, Las Vegas with Maury Wills. Am I missing anything?
No, you pretty much covered it.
Craig, what else you got on Hut?
Now wait a minute, because Tommy's being
Craig's looking for tape and video.
Yeah,
though.
Tommy, you're being very humble because he wasn't just on the show. He sang. Was it the Piano Man?
Piano Man, Billy Joel.
He sang this and played the guitar on the show.
Into right, that's well hit. Johnson over, off the wall, Utley around first, on his way to second, and he is in there. Chase Utley leads off the fourth with a ringing double to right.
Tom Kohler hasn't made too many mistakes. That fastball kind of drifted over the middle of the plate. Chase Utley's made a really nice living hitting that pitch and got himself a two-base leadoff hit. Chase Utley playing in his 165th game against the Marlins.
He is 35, and as we've said a couple times in this series, he looks like he's in great shape, running well.
That was an interesting article, though, about him possibly being a first baseman. That would certainly save him a little bit, save his legs.
Ryan Howard's up. Well, if you're Ruben Amaro Jr., I think everyone thinks it's pretty easy to just, hey, trade this guy, trade that guy, but you got to find the right match. You got to find a team that's willing to match up with what you're trying to get, or what you're trying to give, I guess is a better way in the Phillies sense. You would think Ryan Howard and an American League team that has a short porch in right or left, he hits them to both. Pitch misses in.
And if you're the Phillies, if you're Ruben Amaro, obviously you're going to have to pick up a lot of his contract, but you can't just give him away. Here's a guy this year, he has 92 RBIs. He's got 338 career home runs. 332 to be exact.
Kohler misses. And here comes Sizemore now. Sizemore nearly hit one out back in the second. Grady Sizemore, out of the Pacific Northwest, was a terrific high school football player.
You wonder, Rich, if Grady Sizemore this year has shown enough to other teams to have himself a job somewhere next year.
Well, remember, he started the year with Boston. 52 games with Boston, and he did not play well. He hit just .216, couple homers. But his bat has perked up as a Philly. Johnson has it. Utley is held. Throw comes skimming all the way into Saltalamacchia. And the Phillies have him loaded with nobody out. I'll tell you what, the last two swings from Sizemore, it looks like the old Grady Sizemore.
I think his time in Boston was just a time of trying to get his timing down. He hadn't played very much. But you're right, he's had some good swings. The Marlins have had a couple of situations on this road trip alone where they've gotten out of this bases loaded, no out situation. Not an easy one to do, but they've done it twice on this road trip.
Yes, they have. Dominic Brown, infield, is back, and Brown takes up. Of course, when talking about it the other day on Marlins Live, Casey McGee said, I hope we don't have to face that again in the near future. Hernandez, Echeverria gets the out. Nicely turned. Marlins trade 2 outs for a run.
Boy, that was textbook, that backhand flip of Kike Hernandez onto Echeverria. Sharply hit ground ball. Here's Kike. Watch the flip. Just out of the glove, backhand. There's kind of a point of no return. If you're a little further away, you have to turn and give it an overhand toss. If you're about that distance, you can flip it the way he did.
Carlos Ruiz. Ryan Howard remains at third base. Kohler's gone 2-0 on the veteran Phillies catcher. And Ruiz, soft serve left field, falls for a hit. And a chorus of chooches erupt here in Philly.
And you know, for Tom Kohler, that's just bad luck. That was a really good pitch he made to Ruiz. Off the end of the bat, soft serve, as you called it, just out of the reach of Echeverria. You dream, Rich, of a lob shot like that against your opponent on the tennis court, don't you?
That's a shot I've not perfected. You're probably better from 60 yards out with a 54-degree wedge, maybe.
Probably 60-degree wedge on that shot.
Okay.
Get a little bite to it.
Galvis has a hit. And he swings and misses. Freddie Galvis, 1 for 8 in the series. This is a guy the Phillies had high hopes for a couple years ago, and certainly they still have some hope for him, but he has struggled with the bat mightily this year. He's just 133. Two and two.
You know, the Marlins, of course, after this game, take a short bus ride on to New York. The Phillies hop on a plane and fly to San Diego. San Diego and Oakland, and then into Miami.
Runner goes. Ball in the air. Hernandez has it. Well, after Kike Hernandez home run, the Phillies bounce right back with 2 of their own. It's 3-1. Palmetto 57 Nissan and Palmetto 57 Volkswagen. Home of your money back guarantee. From the Comcast building, live shot over Greater Pennsylvania. 3-1. Phillies on top.
That would be the Schuylkill River. It's always one I never could spell.
I think that's it's more important to pronounce that than spell it. Yelich, Reed Johnson, Casey McGee in the 5th. Yelich lifts one in the air. Deep left center. Revere just short of the track makes the catch.
How about, we've been talking about different clubs, different scores. How about that series in San Francisco, the Dodgers and the Giants? The Giants shut out the Dodgers 9-0 the first game. And last night, the Dodgers shut out San Francisco 17-0.
There was a great note from that game in the category of, doesn't this make you feel old? Kicked by Galvis, and he's not going to get Reed Johnson, who's running hard. E6. In that game, Bruce Bochy's son gave up a home run to Andy Van Slyke's son, and his home run scored Tom Gordon's son. All involved in the same play.
How about that? How about that?
And Bruce Bochy became the first manager in Major League history to hand the ball to his son on the mound, coming out of the bullpen in relief.
Yeah, I think all the other manager-son situations were players, not pitchers. Well, he had to take the ball away from Tim Hudson quickly. Hudson worked just an inning, gave up 8 hits and 6 runs.
And Tim Lincecum didn't pitch much better.
No, he didn't.
That matchup today is Yusmeiro Petit against some guy named Kershaw. Have you heard of him?
I think he's a lefty.
Yeah, he's 18-3 with a 1.67 ERA.
Well, Greinke won for the Dodgers last night, his 15th game. His ERA is 2.64, and Zach Greinke also homered in that game last night.
McGee. Casey trying to knock it in the Schuylkill right there. Checkers. brings you tomorrow's matchup. This is a really good one. Jared Cozart against Jacob deGrom. You see Cozart's numbers and deGrom's. So the opener tomorrow against the Mets. The Mets are trailing the Nationals 2-0. That's in the 7th. Marlins and Mets are dead even in the East and in the wild card. 6.5 back in the wild card. Ozuna, who read the lineups before the ball game, or at least the Marlins lineup. I got a tweet earlier today wanting to know where a fan could find footage of A.J. Ramos reading the lineups.
I saw that. But it was not A.J., it was Ozuna.
To first in time. David Buchanan gets through the 5th. Halfway through, 3-1 Phillies. You got to like that. 3-1. Phillies on top. 2015 deposits. Now, if you place a deposit on a 2015 Marlins season ticket package, you can receive a bonus of 50% of your deposit towards the next homestand. That's the last home games in 2014. For information, go to marlins.com/tickets. David Buchanan against Tom Kohler. 3-1. Phillies on top. Buchanan, Revere, and Franco. Foul back to the screen. So the fan that wanted to see A.J. Ramos read the lineups, August 23rd. August 23rd at Colorado. If you have MLB at bat and you subscribe to MLB.TV, they have the games, all the games for every team archived. And so go to MLB.com or MLB.TV and try to find it. August 23rd at Colorado. That's the A.J. Ramos reads the lineup games, and they'll show the games in their entirety if you're a subscriber. And that way you can see it. We are not allowed to archive game footage on the Fox Sports Florida site. But as the crack staff is now just figuring out and telling us, since it's not actual game footage where guys are playing and catching and hitting, we can put it on our website. Let's get it up on the website.
Actually, that's a good idea. We should have all the players, the ones we've used this year, that have read the lineup.
That's why we have IT people. Ben Revere singled in the first, bounced out in the third. The Phillies got a run in that third inning on the broken bat single by Franco. Kike Hernandez has looked good at second, hasn't he? And he throws Revere out.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good at the plate too, with an opposite field home run.
And that's the only run for Miami in a 3-1 Phillies lead.
Maikel Franco, he's had an interesting day. Had an RBI single. He's had a bunch of plays over at third base.
Franco takes in.
Phillies getting a look at him at third base. They kind of know what Cody Ashley can do. They've seen him play over there. And we saw Franco play first base last night.
Count 3-0 to Franco. When we asked for pronunciation for both Maikel and Franco, or Franco, it looks like Franco, we were told he's more concerned about the Franco part than the Maikel. So it's Maikel Franco. Kohler working very quickly, too quick for Franco.
Too quick for Franco too.
In the air, Garrett Jones battling the sun. Has it. And the inning is over. Kohler goes 1-2-3 in the fifth. Fanatic and Hannibal, who has been doing somersaults and spins. This is Hannibal, third-round draft pick. And this is the Fanatic, signed as a free agent. Garrett Jones now. Jones popped out to third in the first. popped to shallow left in the third, and both of those came with 2 outs and 2 runners on. Sunday in the major leagues. Plenty of action early. On the East Coast, Pittsburgh a 4-3 lead over the Cubs in Pittsburgh. Washington continues to hold on to that 2-0 lead in New York. That game is now in the bottom of the 7th.
Boy, that's a Jordan Zimmerman start. He's throwing well.
Milwaukee has scored first in at home against Cincinnati, 1-0. Reds beat Milwaukee last night. Cardinals and Rockies 1-1 in St. Louis. Atlanta and Texas just underway. Atlanta's just 2 games over 500 right now, 75 and 73. That is really hard to believe. Kansas City at home with a big game against Boston. A 4-3 lead for the Royals in the bottom of the 4th. And there's a lot of people in baseball pulling for the Kansas City Royals to get back to the postseason. Right now they occupy the 2nd wild card spot in the American League. A game in front of Seattle. And a half game behind Oakland, who has the 1st spot. Jones out in that front foot. And there's 1 out in the 6th. Let's check in with Craig Minervini.
Rich, thank you very much. A local guy by the name of Jack Bradley started a great competition long time ago, back in 1971. It continues today, this tradition, 44th annual Phillies Home Run Derby. These are little leaguers starting at age 7 up to in the early teen years. Get a chance to come out here after winning their local competitions. How cool is this? Off a pitching machine, go for some big trophies. Jamie Moyer, Phillies broadcaster, former player, of course, out to give out the trophies, but the Fanatic stole the kids' trophy. These are girls softball players and Little League baseball players, and what fun to come out here with their family, win some local competitions. They used to do it at the Vet. I don't know if you remember that at all, Tommy, and now here at Citizens Bank Park. Great tradition.
Well, dribbler up the line. Howard steps on the bag. Couple things about that competition. A lot of the Philly players that came out to stretch were actually shagging for the Little Leaguers, which was cool.
Yeah, that was neat to see those kids hitting and then looking out and seeing Philly players out there shagging.
And there are some big name kids or big name Major League players that were kids that won it. Mike Trout won it one year.
Mike Trout from South Jersey, he won the competition. Jamie Moyer, who gave out the trophies, grew up outside Philly, won the competition one year.
There's Kike Hernandez, who homered to right back in the 4th. Breaking ball, strike. Oh, 0-2. Second homer for Hernandez this year. He homered once in Houston, his first year in the big leagues. And I would think with the home run to right center field and some solid play at second, Hernandez is going to see a little more playing time this week. That's a quick 1-2-3 inning for David Buchanan. 3-1 Phillies. Marlins at Mets. A 3-night run off Broadway. 6:30 starts for Marlins Live. And the Marlins have the Nationals rolling into town, into Miami on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All the games on Fox Sports Florida. Tom Kohler, bottom 6. Chase Utley. Ryan Howard, Grady Sizemore. One of those games that the Marlins have seen the last 2 nights where the hits are either even or close. Utley rolls it out to Echeverria. Phillies are only out hitting the Marlins 6-5. Last night, the Marlins out hit the Phillies 8-4, and then both teams had 9 hits apiece on Friday.
Yeah, it's frustrating because one of the things we talked about with the loss of Giancarlo is that guys would have to step up, and we were talking about pitching. Certainly the starting pitching has done that. The bullpen's been terrific as well. The offense hasn't gotten it going yet, and that's, you know, it's tough to win games when you don't score many runs.
Even with a few more runs on either side, this is lining up to be the lowest scoring 3-game series ever in this ballpark between the Marlins and the Phillies.
Had an interesting conversation with a couple of Philadelphia writers about the MVP.
Oh, did you?
And if you think about the value of Giancarlo Stanton to the Marlins, people will say, well, is his absence going to hurt him in the MVP race? If the Marlins really struggle to win games, in some ways his absence will help him because it shows how valuable he's been, especially to this offense and to the club overall. I guess the question too would be, how did the Dodgers play the first month of the season without Kershaw in the rotation?
I asked a very trusted advanced scout the other day about the MVP race in the National League, and he scoffed at all the other names, and he said, here's all you need to know as an advanced scout. When I scout a team in the National League, Stanton is the only guy in the league that I need to know where he is every second, what he does every pitch. He's the guy that is the focal point when scouting the Marlins at a much higher degree than any other player in the National League.
You sold me. You sold me. That's all you need to know.
Which is reflected in the number of intentional walks, which is more than double any other guy that's in the conversation as a position player. Howard with a base hit to right. Here is Sizemore. Speaking of MVP, Sizemore, a guy that was in the others receiving votes categories a few times. And his run with the Cleveland Indians.
Well, he was truly one of those guys who could win a game many ways. With his defense, with his speed, with his power.
Couple of Gold Gloves, 3-time All-Star, Silver Slugger. Pulls it. Jones has it. Got it out there. On to second. Throws it into left field. Howard on his way to third. And he gets there.
Good and bad news on the play. Really good news as far as the catch, but not good news with the throw. This is where footwork comes into play. And the reason footwork comes into play there, you know you have time because Ryan Howard's the runner. After you touch the bag, you get your footwork to position yourself on the inside part to give yourself a nice angle to throw to second base.
Dominic Brown is flied to center, bounced into a double play. Ball in the strike. Kohler at 89 pitches. Dan Jennings in the bullpen. Jones, terrific stop.
He made up for it.
Yes, he did.
He made up for it.
Nice play by Garrett Jones at first. That keeps Howard from scoring, and that keeps the game 3-1 Phillies. Arrives. Tom Kohler looks like he's done. Marlins still looking for runs. Group tickets. You can bring your group to the ballpark. Private group happy hours. Now that's what, if you have a private group, Tommy, don't you want a happy hour?
Always.
Well? Meetings, networking, VIP, hospitality, suites, variety of group packages. 305-480-2523. Go to marlins.com/groups, party areas, suite rentals, all of that. Off of Buchanan, on to Utley, over to Howard. Sounds like a scoring play for the Flyers more than a ground ball out.
I'll tell you what, at one point we were talking about the pitch count of Buchanan. It had gotten up there, but he's gotten really efficient, gotten some quick outs, and here he is pitching in the 7th inning.
Ed Lucas is going to hit in Kohler's spot here in the 7th. Lucas gets a strike. Now, David Buchanan's been outstanding. We told you his numbers in the second half have been terrific. His ERA in July, 2.77, low threes in August. And that's brought his season ERA under 4.
Yeah, Tom Kohler again with an outing certainly deserving of a better fate, unless the Marlins can come up big here in the 7th inning.
Adams and Bastardo in the bullpen. Buchanan snares it, and then Howard can't pick it. Certainly not a good throw by Buchanan, but not the most difficult pick for a first baseman.
Yeah, Buchanan makes a really nice play to kind of change directions, field this ball, and throws low to first, short hop. Ryan Howard can't get it. And you're right, Buchanan will get the error, but a ball that should be picked by a major league first baseman.
Well, the door is open a little bit, and I think Ryan Sandberg figures the 4th time through for all the Marlin hitters, he'd like a different look. So he asks for the ball, and Buchanan is on his way out. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. 3-1 Phillies in the 7th. Palmetto 57 Volkswagen leaderboard. Strikeouts per 9 innings since the All-Star break. The Phillies bullpen has been dynamite. Look at the Marlins pen. Marlins have had a really nice run out of their pen as well. And I'm a little stunned that we haven't seen this guy in the first 2 ball games, but Antonio Bastardo is sort of the Tyler Clippard of the Phillies whenever the Marlins play him.
Yeah, the 3 guys that we've seen in the previous 2 games have been Jake Diekman, Giles, and then Papelbon. Those guys have been tremendous in that Philly bullpen. The word that we got, one of the words we got on Bastardo, is that he's not in any hurry either when he takes them out.
Doesn't he know his team's flying to San Diego after the game?
Well, he should. He should. That's a crazy trip. They've got 4 games in San Diego. Then they go up to Oakland for a weekend series. Fly from Oakland, actually have an off day in Miami, and then have the 3-game series in Miami against the Marlins.
Yelich goes after the first pitch, pops it, shallow left. Brown calls for it. And Yelich is out number 2. Well, that was quick. Reed Johnson comes up. Toyota Trend. Players to record their 1,000th career hit as a Marlin. It's a small list, but a very nice list. From Sheffield to Louis to JP, Juan Encarnacion, Hanley Ramirez, and now Reed Johnson.
Some good players on that list.
Johnson reached on an error his last time up. Lucas at first. You're right about Bastardo. He's in no hurry, is he? Now, he's not a guy that walks around the mound. He just gets it, and
he just kind of stands there. Because Reed Johnson hasn't stepped out.
Counts 1-2.
I do have the stopwatch on him in case you're wondering about some numbers.
Johnson fouls it back. One thing Bastardo did that no other major league pitcher has done since 1900. And he had a game against Houston this year and a game against Atlanta back in 2011. He's the only major league pitcher to have 2 games in which he recorded at least 6 outs, all via strikeouts. Swing and a miss. Johnson strikes out. And Ruiz fires down to first. And the Marlins strand another runner. 7th inning stretch in Philly. 3-1. Brought to you by Gulfstream Park.
Well, the Marlins gave up this run to the Phillies on a base hit. Then it was Franco getting a base hit. He tried to stretch it into a double. That didn't work out for him. A little stutter step at first base. 9th assist on the year for Marcell Ozuna. The only scoring for the Marlins has been a home run. His first hit as a Marlin, Kike Hernandez, opposite field here at Citizens Bank. Grady Sizemore got himself a base hit in the 4th inning. Phillies were going to add on a little bit more. Double play ball, Dominic Brown hitting into that. That gave the Phillies one more run, and then a blue base hit off the bat of Carlos Ruiz put the Phillies up 3-1, and that's been all the scoring. Hasn't been a whole lot of scoring in this 3-game series.
And so on this sunny day in Philadelphia, of course, everyone knows it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Popular show as well. Where's the guy in the green suit we used to see? The morph suit. Carter Capps comes in out of Miami's bullpen. His 12th appearance. Capps, who suffered an elbow injury midway through the season. Marlins shut him down. Rather than have surgery, he was able to rehab it without the surgery. And he's come back, try to finish the season. Important, I think, for a guy like Capps, Tommy, who has an injury like that, to come back, finish the season just for his own self-confidence.
Yeah, that's a good point. You kind of took the words out of my mouth. For a guy who's had that injury to sit out and then come back, he wants to prove to himself that he's capable of throwing, especially throwing the way he can, upper 90s with his fastball. So I think it's been very positive for Carter Capps to come back and throw here the final few weeks of the season.
Carlos Ruiz against Carter Capps. So Tom Kohler, 6 innings, 3 runs. The issue for the Marlins in this series has not been pitching, not starting pitching, not bullpen. It's been scoring runs. The Marlins have a single run in each game, and they have a total of 22 hits.
And there isn't a whole lot Mike Redmond can do about it. Well, there's some good heat there from Carter Capps.
.97 miles an hour. Ruiz fouls it off. One and two. Ruiz out in front of the breaking ball. He went. Capps gets the strikeout. And an out here in the 7th.
I'll tell you what a weapon that is when you can throw 97, 98 and then just snap off a hard, sharp breaking ball like that out of the strike zone. When a hitter has 2 strikes, it's really tough to lay off that pitch.
Freddie Galvis takes a strike. That Pirate lead is expanded over the Cubs 7-3. And the Mets continue to trail the Nationals 2-0. Top 9 in New York with the Nationals up 2-0. Bottom 6 in Pittsburgh. Pirates up by 4 over the Cubs. Milwaukee 3-0 over Cincinnati. Bottom of the 5th. Galvis gets a piece. Pittsburgh right now sitting in that second wild card. Milwaukee a game and a half back. Atlanta 3 back. Atlanta is in Texas and trailing 1-0, bottom of the 2nd.
Every time in the American League, when you look at a Detroit score or Kansas City score, Kansas City with the 1-run lead, Detroit trailing Cleveland by 1 run.
That's a swing.
Because Kansas City just trails by Detroit by half a game.
Every time I hear a score involving those two teams, I got to grab the standings to figure out who's in front of the other.
Yeah.
Back and forth they've gone. Fan photo time. Let's see what the blue ribbon panel has come up with. Hashtag your photo FL fan photo. It could be the AT&T fan photo. Manuel.
Oh yeah,
very nice.
Good stuff.
Big Darren Ruff facing Caps. Ruff out into left center. Yelich. And Ozuna decides, I'll take it. 3-1 Phillies.
The top of the 8th inning, the Marlins did recall, as expected, catcher JT Realmuto yesterday. What a run he had as his Jacksonville Suns won the final 10 games to get to the playoffs. They capped it off with a Southern League championship.
That was one of the most special runs I've ever seen, being a part of professional baseball. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of. It meant everything for our team. That group of guys that I got to play with this year was a really special group. Like you said, we had to win 10 in a row just to get in. If we lose one of those games, we're out of the playoffs by half game. So that run speaks for itself, and then we carried our momentum into the playoffs and really played well. It was a lot of fun.
The Suns wound up winning 16 of the last 17, including the playoffs. JT batted over 300, certainly earning the promotion in an outstanding season. He was caught in an interesting spot because he knew he was coming up to the big leagues, and because they went on such a hot run, he wound up going into the postseason, and of course missing a couple of weeks here, but he said he would trade it. He was glad to be part of it. Once they got to the playoffs, he told me he was all in and happy to be part of a second championship now as a Marlin minor leaguer. He had one in Greensboro a couple of years back, and he went to the championship with Jupiter when they lost in 5 games. So nice little run for JT. Hopes his next stop will be here more permanently.
Yeah, I think the Marlins are going to, in the next couple of weeks, have him back behind the plate a little bit just to take a better look at him at the big league level. McGee pops out. Justin DeFreitas is into the ball game. DeFreitas takes over for Antonio Bastardo. Marcell Ozuna and Garrett Jones scheduled to appear. The Marlin bats have grown quiet in this series, and in this ball game they've been silent since Kike Hernandez pumped one into the right field seats back in the 4th. That's the only run for the Marlins, and it feels a lot like last night where the Garrett Jones homer was the only run for the Marlins.
DeFreitas was one of the Phillies that was out early when the kids were having the home run hitting contest. He was one of the Phillies out shagging. I think A.J. Burnett was out there. A.J. a kid at heart.
They did not have that contest in the area where I grew up as a little leaguer or a youth player. Did they have that?
Cool? No, not at a big league park. And you and I were talking. How cool would that be for a kid? For you to go to the Oakland Coliseum.
Sure, or you to Dodger Stadium.
Dodger Stadium. That's outstanding.
They used to have the pitch, hit, and throw, much like the punt, pass, and kick.
Now, Ozuna did get a base hit, his first at bat, a single, so he extended his hitting streak to 10.
Well, with just 5 hits, nobody in the lineup has more than 1. 2-2 from DeFreitas.
Saw a number on Ozuna today that stood out to me, because you see in splits sometimes there's a big difference. Ozuna came into this game hitting .312 in day games.
Well, he strikes out. To be honest with you, I have never been able to figure out the day-night splits. What does it mean? Is it vision? Guys see the ball better in the day. Some guys sleep better. I mean, what do you make
I
of
think
it?
some of it's routine. Some guys get used to sleeping till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and a day game's tough. But others don't have any problem adjusting to it. Because I don't think you can say lights. I mean, the big league lights are tremendous, just like hitting in the daytime. Sorry, I brought it up.
No, I'm puzzled. I want to know why.
I can't give you the answer, though.
Brown is there, and he makes the catch. Marlins go down quickly in the 8th. You're running out of time to download MLB.com at the ballpark. Great features when you come to a Major League Park. You can check in through the app, earn free tickets. Download the free MLB.com at the ballpark app today. Get you all the information on the Major League Park that you're in, including Marlins Park. Here at Citizens Bank Park, Carter Capps ventures into the bottom of the 8th. Capps pitched the bottom of the 7th. Ben Revere, Maikel Franco, Chase Utley.
And Capps was outstanding in that 7th inning. A couple of strikeouts, a fly ball to center field.
Revere 1 for 3. His average sits at 308. A little inside out into left. And so a 2 for 4 day for Revere. We noted that he's a guy that still is in contention the last 2 weeks for a batting title.
Saw Dan Jennings loosening up. He's getting ready for Utley, Howard, possibly Sizemore.
It's funny how Denard Span and Ben Revere are at the top of that list. I can remember a couple years ago when they were both traded from the Twins into the National League East.
Now, I remember thinking at the time, wow, the Twins must have a lot of depth in the outfield.
Runner goes, pitch out, and it's into center field. Ozuna's throw to third. Well, the Marlins pitched out. Saltalamacchia's throw ends up in center field. That's a 15th error this season.
This has been the struggle all year for Jared Saltalamacchia. All the throws that have been errors are throws that have sailed to the second base side of the bag, and once it gets into center field, it's just another error. So it's an area of his throwing he's going to have to work on, because the errors have pretty much been the same.
Carter Capps just rears back and throws it by Franco. This is not a comfortable time to face Carter Capps. The plate is in sunlight, and look at the big dark patch between Capps and the plate. And when he throws upper 90s, this cannot be a comfortable
No,
at-bat.
it's not. Yeah, one of the big light standards, throwing that shadow, casting that shadow out there in front of the mound, in front of the plate. There it is.
Infield's in. Utley's on deck. Back behind first. Revere is tagging. Jones makes the catch. And
Revere,
he'll hold third.
Revere saying there's an outfield arm there.
Yes.
Jones in right field last night.
On to New York after this one. South Florida Honda dealers bring you Marlins Live. Allison Williams and Preston Wilson in studio. And an outstanding pitching matchup. Jared Cozart, Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, that'll be a terrific looking studio. You know, we always talk about how Preston is so Natalie dressed and Allison always looks great.
You're right about that. I think we'll tune in. We have a special guest appearance on the show, so we better tune in.
Yeah.
Dan Jennings coming in. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. For the Marlins, bottom 8. Chase Utley comes up. Phillies have a runner at third. Dan Jennings to face Utley, who has doubled in 3 trips. Carter Capps goes 1 1/3. And Utley trying to drive in this run. Runner comes home. Echeverria to the plate. The tag safe. Revere with a head-first slide. No argument from Saltalamacchia. On contact, Revere was running.
Boy, that's just flat out speed on the part of Ben Revere, and was able to slide the hand across the plate ahead of the throw and tag. Echeverria did everything right. And there was a time, you're going to get slapped on the hand for it now. There was a time that, especially with a guy like Revere and the size of Saltalamacchia, you just drop your knee and he wouldn't even get close to the plate and he'd be out. But it's a different game now, Rich.
Mike Redmond is out there. I think he wants his video room to take a look at it. We just looked at it, and he looked quite safe. So Utley on a fielder's choice will get the RBI. The Phillies now have a 4-1 lead. Here's Ryan Howard, and still only 1 out.
And in that case, and I'm not criticizing Salty in that case, what I meant, there was a time that a catcher would set up in front of the plate before he even got the throw. He had to wait till he gets the throw. He did, and by then, Revere, with his speed, he beat the tag.
Howard is singled, walked, and flied out. Nationals take a 3-0 lead into the 9th, and now it's over. They beat the Mets 3-0. So while the Marlins, if they lose this game, will still be tied with the Mets, the Phillies will creep within a game and a half. Anthony DeSclafani in the bullpen.
That's another Drew Storen save, too, ever since he has taken over in that department.
It's another Jordan Zimmerman win. He's 12-5 with an ERA 2.83. We haven't seen him yet, but a nice addition to their bullpen has been Matt Thornton, the lefty from the White Sox, who was a longtime staple in Chicago's bullpen.
He's with the Yankees a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Opened the season with the Yankees. White Sox up until last year. (3-1). Count stays at 3-2. Into left. It's a hit. Howard's second single. And here comes Sizemore. Sizemore single back in the fourth. Nearly hit one out back in the second. He's looked good swinging the bat today. Couple Phillies on. And a run across and a 4-1 Philadelphia lead. Yelich. 2 outs. Checkers brings you Marlins Live postgame. Our postgame offering comes to you live from the Marlins dugout here at Citizens Bank Park. Craig Minervini will be hosting, kind of like a modern-day Kiner's Corner, without the $100 bill for guests.
And that'll bring a smile to Craig's face, Kiner's Corner.
And that he doesn't have to cough up $100 for the guest. See, I think the amount went up after you.
Yeah, it used to be 50, then went up to 75. I think in the latter years it was 100.
Dominic Brown. Brown swings and misses. Fourth man that Jennings has faced. Ball and a strike. Mets tomorrow night. Cozart versus DeGrom.
Good matchup. Couple of aggressive pitchers, guys who go right after hitters.
Two to Brown. 6:30 for Marlins Live. Brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. Craig Minervini will be with us in New York.
I think there will be a big welcoming committee for Craig.
Yeah, that would be a parade.
Yeah.
Led by
some Shea Stadium memorabilia.
Mr. Met will make a special guest appearance. Mrs. Met has been rumored to be in the area. He walked him. Bags are loaded. Carlos Ruiz coming up. Mike Redmond coming out. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. Marlins go get Disco. Started twisting long ago in Philly. He never thought there would be super slow-mo. You know what? It's a very nice accoutrement.
I'm sure Chubby Checker would agree.
I'm sure Chubby Checker would approve of that message. Anthony DeSclafani. Carlos Ruiz arrives. It's been a tough inning to get through for the Marlins. Carter Capps, the first two hitters. Dan Jennings, the next four. Now Ruiz. who drove in a run with a single back in the 4th. Disco, who is appealing his 3-game suspension for hitting Carlos Gomez on that Thursday night. We just missed outside. Utley is at 3rd. That would be Tony Gwynn Jr. making a special guest appearance.
Pinch running for Ryan Howard.
DeSclafani runs the count to 2-1. And there's no place to put Ruiz. Three and one. Off of Ruiz's foot. That's as hard a ground ball as you'll see hit off a foot. Normally they come out a little slower than that.
Yeah, they'll stay around the dirt area of home plate. This one rolled all the way to third base. Ouch. Might have hit more up on the ankle than on the foot.
What was the speed off the foot? Three-two coming. Jones at first on the bag. Phillies add a run to the 9th. 4-1 Phillies. And sfhondadealers.com. By Hialeah Park Casino. Come out to Hialeah Park's Havana Cafe every Sunday for brunch and live music from noon to 3. $13.95 a person. Must be over 21 to dine. And by Florida Power and Lights. Bulls Barbecue still going strong in the 9th. 4-1. Phillies on top. Marlins have seen Jonathan Papelbon twice in this series. Papelbon getting his 37th save yesterday.
Few defensive changes behind Papelbon.
Tony Gwynn Jr.'s in left. And Kyle Franco moves over to first base. Brian Howard's out. Cody Asche is at third. Saltalamacchia gets into one. Drives it in the gap, right center field. Bangs off the top of the wall. Races around first and into second with a double. So Papelbon's first pitch is turned around at a rapid rate.
First pitch to a former teammate. And Saltalamacchia with a 2-hit day. He's had good approach at the plate and some good swings. And that one a rocket off that auxiliary scoreboard in right center.
Saltalamacchia is going to leave for a pinch runner. I believe that's JT Realmuto out there at second base. Kike Hernandez is homered. He's 1 for 3. Papelbon has looked sharp both nights. Last night, a 1-2-3 ninth. He pitched the ninth on Friday, but remember it was a 1-1 game. That went 1-2-3. Phillies would win it on the Asche walk-off.
Well, between the combination of Ken Giles and Jonathan Papelbon, they've been pretty solid.
It's funny how sometimes a team, there are teams in postseason races right now that would love to have the Phillies bullpen. It's funny how there are some teams out of races that have a component that's really, really good. Hernandez a check swing and he fouls it off.
And also the teams that are going to postseason would love to have a guy that has the postseason experience that Papelbon has.
Apparently not enough to have traded for him.
No, I think a lot of people thought he would end up somewhere at the trading deadline.
Well, Papelbon working 3 days in a row here. Count 2-2 on 23-year-old Kike Hernandez. Danny Echeverria. Then you've got the 9 spot. Miami down 3 here in the 9th.
Good take on the Papelbon breaking ball.
There was a sequence earlier this year where Papelbon did not want to work 3 days in a row, and a bit of a dispute with his manager Ryan Sandberg, and he walks Hernandez. So Miami is going to bring the tying run to the plate. Echeverria fouls it back. Miami trying to avoid a 3-game sweep, trying to avoid a 5-game losing streak. Valdespin on deck. Real Muto at second. Hernandez at first.
You can see Papelbon not as sharp as in the previous 2 outings.
Not at all. And it'll be interesting to see if another runner gets on base, if that Philly bullpen stirs up.
And I'm just thinking, too, with Valdespin on deck, getting ready to pinch hit, not too often does a pinch hitter in 3 consecutive games get the same pitcher. And he's pinch hit off Papelbon every time. He's 0 for 2, but he's hit the ball hard each time.
Echeverria, it's off the glove of Utley, and everybody is going to be safe. I'm not sure if Utley was thinking about trying to throw to a base to get a double play, or just mistimed his leap, or maybe misjudged it off the bat.
Out over the plate. Another nice swing by Echeverria. There's the attempt by Utley. May have been thinking of a lot of things. I'm guessing a base hit. Yeah, it's a base hit. Just like that, bases loaded. Here comes Valdespin. Yeah, 2 nights ago, Valdespin hit a deep fly ball to center field against Papelbon. Last night, a 1-hopper that he hit sharply back to the mound.
So the bags are loaded, and the tying run is at first base. And there's nobody out. You've got Yelich on deck, then Reed Johnson. Nobody stirring in the Phillies' pen yet. Valdespin takes in. And the wind, remember when Valdespin hit that ball, Tommy, the wind was blowing in. Right now, there is no wind. That's a strike. Caught plenty of the plate. Papelbon in front now, 1-2. Well, the inning opened with a Saltalamacchia double. Real Muto is pinch run for him. Kike Hernandez walked. Echeverria hit the liner that glanced off of Utley's glove for a hit. One, two. Valdespin, who was right up on the plate. Had he not hit this ball, it may have hit him.
Yeah, it's that slider, and it just started to come in after him, and he'd already committed to the swing.
Nice catch up there. One and two. And finally someone is up in the Phillies pen. It's out. It's 2-2. So Valdespin won't go away here. Papelbon has thrown that breaking ball in on his hands. Let's see what he gets here.
Tell you, the Marlins have had some really good at bats off Papelbon. Kike Hernandez had a good at bat to draw his walk. Valdespin, good AB here. And look at all the pitches. 19 pitches already, and he hasn't recorded an out.
Full count, bags loaded. Miami down 3. Top 9. Well, he's right up on that plate, and anything that is either on the plate or even inside, he's firing on, and that's jamming him, and it's a strike.
Yeah, pitch number 8.
That's how close he is to the plate. Cishek has thrown a little bit and can heat up in a moment's notice, but the Marlins need to score some runs for that to happen. Another 3-2 to Valdespin. Another foul ball.
What a great AB. He comes in on him, he fouls it off. He goes away, he fouls it off. He throws breaking ball in, foul ball.
And while you may not think that's consequential, remember this is a closer that's working in his 3rd consecutive game. And the more pitches you make him throw, the less effective he's going to be. This is the 10th pitch of the at bat. (3-2). That back foot breaking ball is a good one, but Valdespin somehow has been able to get to it and foul it off.
And you don't think that's frustrating for Papelbon, too?
No, I mean, like I said, he balked at working 3 days in a row earlier this year. It's 3 days in a row here.
He might not have been real committed to this assignment.
Fastball, that's fouled off. (11 pitch at bats so far. Bags are loaded. Philly fans are waiting for this thing to end. Miami with an opportunity. And nobody out in the 9th. Bags loaded. There's a high chopper. Franco gets the out. The Marlins get a run. Valdespin drives home Real Muto. And now it's Yelich. And let's see what the Phillies do here. They've got first base is open, but you know, you would be putting the go-ahead run on. Yelich is 1 for 3. You've got a right-handed bat and Reed Johnson on deck.
Well, what a battle by Jordani Valdespin to pick up that run with that chopper after, what, 12 pitch at bat. Trying to wear down Jonathan Papelbon. And you would love to see that translate into a mistake pitch to Christian Yelich.
Look at that at bat on Fox Tracks. You've got good speed in the trail runner too. The tying run and Echeverria at second. Hernandez the runner at third. Papelbon. Fastball that misses away. How long do you leave Papelbon out there in terms of pitch count?
Boy, you obviously Ryan Sandberg knows his guy, but you can't leave him out there too long. But he would like to see him get a save. I'm sure that's what he's thinking. I think if the Marlins can tie it, take away that save opportunity, then you'd see Sandberg make the change. but not much has been center cut on the plate either.
Yelich dumps one foul. Philly fans trying to get Papelbon through this. One, two. Yelich, a chopper over the mound. Utley has no play, and Miami is within a run. An infield hit for Yelich. A 4-3 game. Reed Johnson coming up.
The only chance Papelbon had on this is if he were to catch it. Once it was high enough to get over his head, he tumbles after trying to make the play. There was no chance at all for Chase Utley.
Bob McClure, the pitching coach for the Phils, is out to talk. Miami has a couple runs. It's 4-3. Phillies have an arm ready in the bullpen. Again, for Papelbon, it's his third consecutive appearance. He's appeared in all 3 games of this series.
A 2-hit game for Christian Yelich. Justin Bour is going to pinch hit for Reed Johnson.
Well, Bour still looking for a pinch hit. Has swung the bat better as a starter, but arrives here and takes outside. Though he did hit that ball in Milwaukee as a pinch hitter to the wall in right center. It was in a big spot, and it was nearly a 3-run homer.
And you would hope the fact that he had 4 AB, swung the bat decent last night, had a base hit, lined out one time. You would hope that that would translate into this pinch hit appearance.
Ball into the outfield would tie the game. Liner to center field. That's a base hit. That ties the game. Yelich is not stopping. Racing for third. He's in there. And Justin Bour's first career pinch hit ties the game in Philly.
Good for him. And you really think that just the opportunity last night to get some ABs and start to settle in a little bit helped out in that pinch hit at bat. What a rocket into center field. And what base running by Christian Yelich to just challenge Revere, who doesn't throw that well. There's a pitch out over the plate. Because think about it, this ball was hit sharply. Revere had the ball in a hurry. He had the ball before Yelich got to second base. He never hesitated and didn't even have to slide to third.
Here's McGee now with one out. Let's see what the Phillies do with their infield. You got speed at third with Yelich, not so much with Bour at first. And McGee trying to drive a ball through the infield. And he fouls it at the plate. So a 4-4 game. The Phillies are not in a spot to get a double play here, which is a little bit surprising to me. Tommy Hutton, would you explain?
Especially when you're home. You're the home team. If you're on the road.
And you've got the guy at the plate who's hit into the most double plays in the National League.
Yeah, it is surprising. I'm just thinking about the big 2-run homer Casey McGee hit against K-Rod the other night in Milwaukee in the 9th inning.
Counts 1-1. And McGee fouls it. It's 1-2. Papelbon has thrown 33 pitches here. The lefty Jimenez is up. Garcia, the righty, has been up. Bour does not run well. He's at first. Yelich does. He's at third. 4-4 game. in the 9th. McGee takes up and in.
Well, you got if the score were to stay 4-4, it would be A.J. Ramos. If the Marlins take the lead, then we'll see Cishek.
Both are ready. Strike 3 called. McGee goes down, and that's a big strikeout for Papelbon.
Well, I think Casey was really fooled and frozen with that fastball. Ball moved a little bit. Nice job of catching and framing the pitch by Ruiz.
Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna 1 for 4. Ball in the dirt. Here comes Yelich, and he's gonna score. Wow, what a turn of events here in Philly. Miami has rallied for 4 in the 9th.
And what a way to get the go-ahead run after a big strikeout by Papelbon of Casey McGee. Came back and threw a wild pitch. Yelich, because of his hustle, going first to third on Boer's base hit, was set up perfectly to score on the wild pitch.
Ozuna swings and misses.
That was the splitter. He hasn't thrown a lot of splitters in this inning. Mainly because of that. I don't think he has a good feel for it.
One. Ozuna, sharp ground ball to short. Galvis has it on to first. Miami has come all the way back, has a 5-4 lead, and needs 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Steve Cishek comes in. Jonathan Papelbon hearing it in Philly. Well, some real fireworks happened while we were gone. Jonathan Papelbon had arrived in the dugout. Joe West, the second base umpire, started towards the Phillies dugout.
There's Joe West right there.
And West coming towards the dugout. And he has ejected Jonathan Papelbon, and Papelbon comes right out. And now watch this. Papelbon blocking Joe West, and West literally grabs him and pushes him away. Ryan Sandberg tried to get out there. Not sure why Papelbon was ejected, but he's gone, and Joe West is back out, and here is Cishek in the 9th. So Cishek needs 3 outs. Galvis is the hitter, and he takes out. 8-9-1. Cody Ashe is in the 9 spot, so he's due up second. And then you get up to Ben Revere. This would be quite a shot in the arm for the Marlins.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, they could win this ball game and head to New York. A team that desperately looking for something to feel good about. Any idea as to what happened there? Did Papelbon say anything? I did not see him say anything.
I didn't see him. The only thing I noticed when Papelbon came off the field, it took him forever. He took one step at a time, very slowly came off the field. Obviously upset with the inning that he had. But I don't know if there was any interaction between Papelbon and Joe West during that inning.
Or any gesture that Papelbon made on his way off the field.
Which is possible, and maybe that's why Joe West followed him over toward the dugout.
Cishek thought he had a strike. Here's Papelbon. This is a chorus of boos. And
was that a little gesture toward the fans right there?
Well, he was either adjusting himself or it was a gesture. Take your pick. And Cishek walks Galvis. This is West. And Papelbon.
I tell you what, Joe West has pretty good grip on that jersey. And Papelbon is saying, why are you doing that? Which I don't think is right for an umpire to do either.
Now Ashe. Meanwhile, Cishek is trying to collect himself. He walks a hitter who's hitting 130 in Galvis.
And a guy who has pretty good speed, too.
Ashe, who was the hero on Friday night, and he lines one into left field. That's a base hit. And so now the Phillies are all set up. First and second, nobody out. And they've got Revere, who has terrific speed, coming up and in all likelihood bunting.
And a guy who can bunt a little bit as well. Ashe with a good swing on a 2-seamer away. He doesn't try to pull it. And stroked it nicely into left field.
Well, we talk about this often in this spot when you have a guy that is sacrificing who has terrific speed. You have to really be on the ball to get the out at first, because if you hesitate, you won't get anything. And the first order of business is to throw strikes for Cishek. One and 0. Marlins were down 4-1 going into the 9th and facing Jonathan Papelbon, who had retired all 6 he'd faced in the first 2 games of the series. There's a bunt foul. And it's 1-1. And lo and behold, the Marlins got 4. Only to have Cishek walk Galvis and give up a hit to Ashe. Franco is next. Then you've got Utley. Then you've got Gwynn. Remember, the Phillies made a sequence of defensive changes in the top of the 9th. And right now, Cishek does not have it dialed in.
No, he's struggling. A lot of times you can tell that early on when he comes in and starts dropping sliders in for strikes. You know he's on the mark, but right now he's off the mark.
Here's the 2-1. It's a strike and a big call. Instead of 3-1, it's 2-2. Let's see if he's bunting with 2 strikes. Now you got a guy who's got 2 hits and is really hard to double up. So we'll see how Brian Sandberg plays this. He's not had a lot of success bunting in this at bat. Hasn't looked real comfortable. 2-2, not bunting. Oh, he got him with a backdoor breaking ball.
I'll tell you what, that was the last pitch that Ben Revere was looking for, with the way that Cishek has struggled out there. He did not think he was going to get that backdoor slider, and it was a beauty.
Franco now, who has popped out 3 times and has an RBI single. Infield looking for 2. Oh and 1. Utley is on deck. Oh and 2.
Well, sometimes one pitch can get a pitcher locked in, and you hope that's the case with Cishek. He's made some good pitches after that strike 3 slider to Revere.
Jeff Mathis with the sign. 0-2 coming. Didn't offer. Mathis into the ball game. Remember, Saltalamacchia started the rally with a double. Real Muto pinch ran for him. And now Mathis working with Cishek here in the bottom of the 9th. Franco, the 1-2 and a spin.
I think because of the nature of the game, because Cishek was coming in, Mike Redmond made that move with Jeff Mathis. He very easily could have left Real Muto in the game because he pinch ran for Saltalamacchia.
Got him with a breaking ball. 2 down.
Well, so far it really looks like that slider strike 3 to Revere has perked up Steve Cishek with some great pitches. He made some really good ones to Franco.
Boy, there's a lot of things working here. The Marlins have come back in the 9th to take a 5-4 lead. Cishek all of a sudden strikes out a pair. But 3 times this year, the Phillies have walked off with home runs in this ballpark against the Marlins. Utley was one of the culprits. Rollins and Ashe the other 2. That's strike 1 on Utley.
All right, the slider is dialed in. We know that.
A 2-run homer on the 26th of June. Galva still waiting at second. Ashe is at first. 0-2, a fastball that rode out.
Good slider, good 2-seamer, and just like that, 0-2.
Utley down to his last strike. Marlins on the rail. After what happened in Milwaukee on Thursday night, the Marlins scoring a run each Friday and Saturday, both with losses. Here, just one run going into the ninth, seemingly headed for their 5th straight loss and a series sweep. They rally for 4. Cishek trying to shut the door.
And the pitcher who stands to pick up a win, Anthony DeSclafani.
Utley takes away. Cishek wanted to see if he'd chase that breaking ball or that riding fastball again. Marlon Byrd has emerged on deck. That's Tony Gwynn Jr.'s spot in the order. Ground ball, foul. Justin Bohr over there at first base.
Yeah, he switched after he got his big pinch hit. He moved in there. Garrett Jones moved into right field and is battling some pretty good sunshine out there in right.
Two and two. Sunday crowd in Philly making some noise. Got him! Ball game! Marlins come from behind and get a much, much needed win here in Philly. Wow. The Fish get to Jonathan Papelbon. Steve Cishek wobbles at the start, but strikes out 3 in a row. Revere, Franco, and Utley.
Smiles all around, and boy, have they been needed over the last few days.
For Miami, win number 72 this year does not come easy. And look at the look on Mike Redmond's face. This is a team that has been through so much in the last 3 days, with the loss of Giancarlo Stanton, the loss of their offense the last 2 nights here in Philly, big at bats in the ninth, and a 5-4 win for the Fish, with Steve Cishek sealing the deal.